There's a famous clip of Noam Chomsky talking to a BBC journalist where the BBC journalist aggressively disputes Noam Chomsky's theory of manufacturing consent, and he says,
how can you know that I'm self-censoring? How can you
I
know
don't say
that
you're
journalists
self-censoring. I'm sure you believe everything you're saying. But what I'm saying is if you believe something different, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting.
So I'm sure that a lot of the creators who work with Good Influence, who work with Chorus, would say, you know, Chorus has never told me, they've never dictated what I have to say. But the point is that if you said something different, you wouldn't be getting the money. And in Pakman's case specifically, if you look through his channel, it's almost all anti-Trump content, and I don't think there's hardly a word on Palestine.
Well, if I could jump in there real quickly.
I wanted to bring you in, John, here because you work there, and so you have a little bit of personal knowledge of the fact that this is deliberate.
It absolutely is deliberate. I actually have an email from him after he visited the White House last year on the day of Joe Biden's State of the Union address. He was invited to a private off-the-record meeting with Kamala Harris and several other content creators, including Brian Tyler Cohen, the Mycelis brothers from Midas Touch, and he told me that they all sort of talked amongst themselves at the White House, not in like an official capacity during the meeting, but, you know, just casually as colleagues amongst themselves. And they talked about what their editorial stance is on Gaza. And he told me in an email that they talked amongst themselves and came to the conclusion that the topic is too divisive, it might drag down their channels, that it's a poison pill, and that it's better if they just don't talk about it at all. He has this audience of 3 million people who are, you know, broadly moderate, centristy, liberal types who, you know, theoretically, if they did hear about what was happening there, then, you know, they might have been more critical of Biden. There might have been potential to pressure him and change his policy on it. But because it was shut out entirely, it became much less present in the public discourse around a certain type of person who isn't getting their news from actual journalists, but paid shills for the Democratic Party. Their role is to protect the Democratic establishment. They're best understood as like essentially like the unofficial marketing and public relations arm of the Democratic Party as far as I am concerned. Because how can you have a stronger Democratic Party if you completely ignore Gaza in your coverage and you pretend that this is an issue that people don't actually care about?
Yeah.
How can you strengthen the Democratic Party when we see so much organic, fiery grassroots energy behind Zoran and you don't even cover him? Their role is to do bland interviews with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer that never like gets to the heart of like why the Democratic Party is the only thing more unpopular than Donald Trump right now.